everybody. The purpose of today's video is to just run you through some of the word problems that we learned in chapter 2 and that you may see on the midterm next week. And so I'm going to start today with a same direction travel problem. I think probably just watch and listen and pause as you need to go. So here we go. Ryan went for a walk. He traveled at a speed of 4 miles per hour. 15 minutes later, Jason went out for a run looking for Ryan. Jason traveled at a speed of 6 miles per hour. After how long did Jason catch up to Ryan? So key things that we need to look for are obviously our rate and our time. And what is the question asking? The question is asking about Jason. After how long did Jason catch up to Ryan? So we know that we're going to start by setting up a table. And here is what the table will look like. For Ryan, we know that Ryan travels at a rate of 4 miles per hour. And we're going to call his time T. Jason travels at a rate of 6 miles per hour and leaves 15 minutes later. Remember, it's T minus 15 because he travels for 15 minutes less than Ryan traveled. We also have to remember that to come up with what belongs in the distance column, we have to remember that rate times time always equals distance. And so what goes here is going to be a combination of multiplying these terms together. So our distance for Ryan is 4t, and our distance for Jason is 6 times the quantity of t minus 15. We also then have to think about what is it that's going to help us to come up with the equation. If we know that Ryan and Jason started from the same point and caught up to each other eventually, that's telling us that they traveled the same distance. And so our equation should show that Ryan's distance is equal to Jason's distance, and Ryan's distance 4t is equal to Jason's distance, which is 6 times the quantity of t minus 15. From here, we know that our steps look as follows. 4t is equal to 6t plus negative 90. We're going to gather our variables together on both sides, or on one side, and we're left with negative 2t is equal to negative 90. And we're going to isolate our variable, divide by negative 2, which gives us, for t, 45. And you guys know that the very next thing I like to do once I figure out what t is to look back to the table and name the value for t minus 15. So I know that if t equals 45, t minus 15 then equals 30. This is telling me that Ryan's time is 45 minutes. Jason's time is 30 minutes. So before I do anything else, I know that my next step is to check it. The check should be easy, easy, easy. We already know what t and t minus 15 are. And so I'm going back to the original equation, and here's what I got. 4, we know that t is 45. 4 times t is equal to 6. We already know that t minus 15 is 30, so 6 times 30. You don't have to be plugging any other values in. 4 times 45 is 180. 6 times 30 is 180. Let's remember what this number represents, because sometimes you're going to be asked a little bonus about that. If Ryan's rate is 4 miles per hour for a total of 45 minutes, rate times time gives us distance. Same thing with Jason. He travels at a rate of 6 miles per hour for 30 minutes, and since rate times time equals distance, we know that Jason's distance is 180. Rate times time equals distance. Okay. Next, we're ready to answer the question. So we have to look carefully. After how long did Jason catch up to Ryan? We know that Ryan's time is 45 and Jason's time is t minus 15. 45 minus 15 is 30 minutes. And so we write Jason caught up in 30 We have to read the question carefully. All right, so that's the same direction travel problem. Let's move on to a perimeter problem. The length of a rectangle is 6 more than twice the width. The perimeter of the rectangle is 72 inches. We are finding both the width and the length. You know that my first step is to always start with a visual. And so here is my picture, and I'm just going to label things up. If I know that the length is 6 more than twice the width, I'm doing like a word-for-word translation. 6 plus 2W, which means that here is our W. Now my let statement. We know that W is going to be the width, and we know that 6 plus 2W is going to be the length. We also know that to come up with the equation, perimeter is equal to a sum of all sides. And so we're going to do W plus W plus 6 plus 2W plus 6 plus 2W, I'm out of room, sorry, equals, there's the perimeter, 72. Now, remember, there's another way to show this equation. If you wanted to do 2W plus 2 times the quantity of 6 plus 2W, that would be fine too. Either or. Totally fine. From here, we're ready to simplify. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 W's plus 12 is equal to 72. We're now just going through our steps for solving the equation. 6W is equal to 60, and W equals 10. W equals 10, that means the width is 10, and now 6 plus 2W. I know that 2 W's would be 20 plus 6, 26. All right, I love these checks, you guys know I do, because what should happen is when I plug in 26 plus 26 plus 10 plus 10. I know 10 plus 10 is 20. 26 plus 26 is 52. And I know that 20 plus 52 equals 72. Cha-ching. It checks. And now the last part, answering the question. Finds both the width and the length. And so here's our answer. The width is equal to 10. I don't see a label. Oh, no. I'm sorry. 10 inches. There is a label here. We want to always make sure we're labeling our answers. And the length is equal to 26 inches. All right. Let's try a consecutive integer problem, and then we'll do a mean problem. And that will be all for tonight. The sum of 3 consecutive odd integers is negative 57. Find the 3 integers. We always start with a let statement. And so we are going to let x equal the first integer. We're going to let x plus 2 equal the second integer. And we're going to let x plus 4 equal the third integer. I know that I went by intervals of 2 because we're talking about odd numbers. You think about numbers like 1, 3, and 5. They are 2 interval of 2 away from each other. And so that's why we're doing x plus 2, and x plus 4. If we were looking at a problem that said the sum of 3 consecutive integers is whatever, we would be doing x plus 1, and x plus 2. So we need to be careful and look for keywords like even or odd. From here, our equation is easy. We're going to add up these 3 expressions, or these 3 values, to equal negative 57. And so our equation looks like x plus 2 plus x plus 4 is equal to negative 57. I've got 1, 2, 3 x's. And 2 plus 4 is 6 is equal to negative 57. We're going to solve now. Let's remember here that 3x is equal to negative 57 plus negative 6, which is negative 63. Be really careful that we don't make the mistake of writing negative 57 minus 6 is negative 51. Remember that this means negative 57 plus negative 6. That's a really important thing for us to remember. We divide both sides by 3. I'm a little bit out of room here, so let's move up this way. And x is equal to negative 21. Right? If x is negative 21, x plus 2 is going to be negative 19. X plus 4 is going to be negative 17. And remember, the check here, easy, easy. We're going to just take these three numbers, add them up. I know 10, 7, 17, 2, and 1, and 1, and 1, negative 57. There's my answer and my check all in one. All right? Finally, last but not least, we have a mean problem, one of these test score problems. Here we are. Your grades are 83, 94, 86, and 91. What grade do you need to earn on your next test to have an average of 90? So what we're looking for is what is the average of 5 test scores, even though here we're only given 4 scores. And so we're going to start with a let statement. Let x equal the 5th test. We know that x can be the next test, the 5th score. I'm not going to be picky about how you define your variable. And now we're ready for the equation. 83 plus 94 plus 86 plus 91 plus x divided by 5, because there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 test scores, is equal to 90. And now we're just going to solve. We're going to multiply each side of the equation by 5. And we'll simplify. When we add up all 4 of these scores, we have 354 plus x to equal 450. We're going to subtract to solve for x. And we are left with x equals 96. Pressure is on. X is equal to 96. And so you need 96% on the next test. The check for this, you can do this in a lot of different ways. Some people are checking it back here, 354 plus 96, just to make sure that they get 450, and it checks. If you want to put it back into the original equation, you can if you want to reassure yourself, but you've already done the math to add up 83, 94, 86, and 91. So I'm okay with your check being a little bit more simplified in a problem like this. Again, we need to make sure that we answer the question. So you need to be 96 or you need 96% on the next test. All right, that should be it for word problems. I will see you all tomorrow.